Today I'm going to be showing you how to make our chicken noodle soup, which is one of the labs in our mise en place unit. Today we're going to start off by making the broth. This is a 2-day lab, so the first day is making the broth, and then the second day is actually adding the noodles and the chicken and actually eating the soup. So what we're starting off today, we have our pot of water. It's already started boiling for us. We have 7.5 cups of water. The first thing we're going to do is just add the chicken into our water. We're using chicken wings for this lab. You want to make sure that there's enough water to cover the chicken, and we'll be right back in a minute after this starts boiling, and then we're going to add in our other ingredients. Okay, while we're waiting for our water to boil with our chicken, I'm going to show you how to make a bouquet garnier. There's 2 different ways to season a stock or a broth like we're talking about in class. We talked about a sachet, which is used, you put different items or different spices into a cheesecloth. That's a sachet. What we're making today for our soup is a bouquet garnier. So what we're going to do with this, we have 3 different ingredients. We have celery, carrots, and parsley. This is a pretty easy way to season something. All we're going to do is kind of bunch all of these things together. Going to tie them up with some string. Make sure you tie it tightly so that they're going to stay together. They're not going to unravel once they get into the soup or the stock. Tie it nice and tight, and then once our water is ready, we're just going to stick this part into the pot. The rest of it will kind of hang off over to the side. Okay, our water has come to a boil with our chicken still in there. You can see that. Now what we're going to do is add the rest of our ingredients. We're going to be adding our onion, bay leaf, some garlic, our bouquet garnier, and our salt and pepper. Okay, so we're going to add our onion. We have half an onion that we're putting into our stock to give it a lot of flavor. Be careful when you're dropping it in there. You don't want it to splash up and burn you. Next thing we're going to add is our bay leaf, which again is just going to give it some nice flavor so that we have very flavorful chicken soup. We have our salt. Pepper. Pepper is to taste, so if you don't like pepper, you can just add a little bit. If you like pepper, add a little bit more. Next we have our garlic, which we've chopped up just into little chopped pieces. Which again, none of this is what you're going to be eating. This is just to add flavor to the stock. And the last thing we're going to add is our bouquet garnier. Dip it in there. Make sure that, especially if you're using the ranges, if you're not in the industrial kitchen, make sure that the end that's not in the soup is not going to get into the burner and catch on fire. Okay, so we're going to put our... Okay, so we have all of our ingredients for our stock in here now. You're just going to give it a little stir, mix it up a little bit. You can set your lid on your stock pot and turn your heat down to low. We're just going to let our soup simmer for about an hour, and then your teacher or someone else from your class will come in and bag the soup until tomorrow when we're actually going to add the noodles and some of our other things that are actually staying in the soup. Okay, so this is the last step for day 1 of our chicken noodle soup lab. Our stock has been simmering for a while. It's ready to go. What you're going to do, your last step, is to actually put the stock, everything that's in the stock pot, it's our stock that we're making. You're going to put the stock into a large freezer bag, the Ziploc freezer bag. You're going to label it with your bin and period number. Make sure it's zippered up really tight so it doesn't leak out or spill. And you're going to put it in your fridge, and then tomorrow we will do day 2. Welcome to day 2 of our chicken noodle soup lab. The first thing that you're going to do, and that I've already done, is you're actually going to take your soup or your stock, out of the fridge and place it in a stock pot. The next thing we're going to do, because everything that's in here is actually not going into our soup, it's just been used to flavor the stock of our soup, so we're going to take out the bouquet garnier. We don't need that anymore. All of the flavors have been extracted, so we're just going to toss that in the garbage. Alright, so then what we're going to do is, you need to get a big bowl and a strainer. So what we're going to do is you're going to take your stock pot. You're going to pour all the liquid. You want it to go into the strainer part. The strainer is going to catch all of the onion. It's going to catch the bay leaves. It's going to catch the chicken if that comes out. If not, we'll just grab it. Oops. Make sure all the liquid's in there. carefully take out your strainer. If you take a look in here, you're going to see that all of the onions and some of the chicken is in there. The bay leaf is in there, you just can't see it. So we can stick that back in there. Alright, and then in a second I'm going to show you how to put and incorporate the chicken into here. We're going to actually put the soup back into the stock pot, heat it up, add our chicken and some other vegetables. Alright, so the only thing from our stock, the day 1 part of the lab, the only thing that we're keeping is the chicken that's in here, and the broth. Everything else that was in the stock pot, if you want to take a look, it's the onion and the bay leaves and the garlic. This is all going to be thrown in the garbage. We are not using this in our soup. Alright, I've just previously torn up my other 3 wings, my chicken wings. I'm going to show you how to do it with this one. You're just going to tear off medium-sized pieces of chicken off the bone. You don't want it to be huge pieces, you don't want them to be too tiny, just nice medium-sized pieces of chicken. There is a good amount of chicken on these wings, so you should be able to get quite a bit off of there. Doesn't need to be fancy, just tear off those pieces of meat. Alright, our chicken is in our stock. Now we're going to add in our mirepoix. You should remember a mirepoix is a mixture. It's 50% onion, 25% celery, and 25% carrots. Just going to dump that in there. Okay, now we are going to add in our noodles, because this is our chicken noodle soup. Add those noodles in there, we're going to stir it up. We're going to let that cook for about 5 minutes, and then our soup will be ready to eat. Alright, it's been about 8 minutes. Our noodles are nice and tender, they're al dente, which means to the tooth. Our last step is sprinkling our chopped parsley in there to give it a little bit more flavor. Smells delicious, it's ready to eat.